Hi friends, welcome to Unacademy. I'm Navpreet Kaur. I'm an IELTS trainer at an IELTS institute. Just a second. Yeah, I'm an IELTS trainer at an IELTS institute. Just a second. Sorry for the because actually I was taking it on the phone also. Hi friends, I'm Navpreet Kaur. I'm an IELTS trainer at an IELTS institute in Amritsar. I've been into this line for the last 3 years, and prior to that I was working in various corporate sectors where I worked on different profiles on Sorry, Pratham, actually I was taking it on the phone also. Hi friends, I'm Navpreet Kaur. I'm an IELTS trainer at an IELTS institute in Hamilton. And uh, recently I joined Unacademy as an educator in IELTS. I love interacting with all of you people and giving you the best possible lessons. But I also request you all to kindly subscribe to my courses. My reference code is here mentioned here now underscore Preet71, and this is you can use this code, and then you can subscribe to the various courses available on the Unacademy platform. These are available. These are very like you, if in case you use my reference code, you will be able to get a discount of 10%, and at the same time you will have an access to the various other educators on this platform. So I request you all to kindly note down my reference code so that you can use this for your subscriptions. And today in this lesson, I'm just trying to give you certain tips on scoring higher bands in IELTS speaking module. There are people who know, who are very confident of the speaking modules, but there are others also who feel that they cannot score as much bands as desired in the IELTS speaking module. Although many of the things are good, but there are certain tips. If you use these tips, you can definitely score higher bands in your IELTS speaking module. So, not wasting much of the time, I would start with the class. The first and the foremost tip that I would like to give you is that be calm, and at the time of the examination, just be calm before and at the time of the examination. Like if your exam is maybe tomorrow, don't panic. Don't, there are people who just keep on मैं वो भी पढ़ लूँ. No, that will just stress you out. So just be calm. Whatever you've learned, just be natural, and whatever you learn will automatically come to your mind if you are natural, and if you remain just very calm and patient at the time of exam. Not only at the time of the exam, but before the examination also. Do not feel anxious or uncomfortable during the test. Suppose sometimes it happens that the examiner they want like they try to make you comfortable. They ask you certain questions and they try to make you as much comfortable as much they can. But since you are anxious, you feel that you are taking the test out of anxiety, you just feel stressed out, and that would reflect on your face. That would not only reflect on your face, it would reflect on your performance also. So all you need to be is just calm. अब जो कुछ पढ़ लिया, everything जो कुछ पढ़ लिया, that's there. Don't try to remember them. Don't try to just stress out ki I missed on this, or maybe I didn't learn this topic or that topic. You don't need to do these things. When the exam is there, just wake up early in the morning. If you can meditate for some time, it's okay. Go for your exercise, whatever. Just relax and then go for the exam. And at the time of the examination also, if something goes wrong, don't panic. Just be calm, be patient, take it sportingly, and then move further. Just feel at ease, and whatever questions are asked to you, just reply them in a very natural way, as if you are talking to your friend, as if always talk like this, as if now as I'm talking to you, I know that I'm taking the class and you people are sitting in front of me, just listening to me. But still you need to speak in a very natural way. You in the examination also, you feel that the examiner is like one of your friends, and talk as natural as you can and be as comfortable as much as you can. This is the first and foremost tip, because if you are calm, you will generate the ideas yourself. The ideas will come to your mind automatically. You will not have to stress it out that you forget something, or if you feel that you don't know something. If you are calm, just think a little patiently, something or the other will come to your mind, and it will help you in scoring higher bands in your IELTS speaking test. The second tip that I would like to give you is impress and connect with the examiner. Don't try to impress the examiner by just saying something or buttering the examiner. No, that is not required. Impress means just impress by your behavior and by your etiquettes. Like, you take your passport, keep your passport handy with you, because whenever the examiner asks, give the passport or your ID proof with due respect, so that it gives a good impression on you. And whenever the examiner asks you, you can easily give to them. And if the examiner says, when you enter the room where the exam is to be conducted, or where the interview is to be conducted, when the examiner tells you to sit down, politely say thank you and sit down. So these are basic etiquettes which if we use in our speaking test, otherwise we should use in our daily life also, but particularly in our speaking test, if we use these etiquettes and we try to be a little you can say polished, if we give a polished behavior at that particular time, it will definitely help you to score higher bands. Although these are not the factors which will add to the bands, but it will give a psychological effect on the person, on the examiner, and he'll have a positive impression of you. And when a person has a positive impression of someone, he definitely gives, like, he takes into account, and it matters a little, if not more, a little in giving you the band scores. But at the same time, if you a little rude or appear clumsy or something like that, that will give something of a negative impact of the examiner, and you will not be able to connect with the examiner, or you will not be able to impress the examiner. Now, connecting with the examiner here, what I mean by that? That means that you should try to build a rapport with your examiner. When the examiner asks you something, some questions or something like that, be comfortable and be friendly with him. Don't think that he is something very superior and you cannot connect with the examiner. He is there to assess you. He is there to assess your speaking skills. So speak as natural as you can, as you speak in your daily life. And that ways it will help you to connect with the examiner. And when you connect with the examiner, that will definitely give you the best in yourself, and that will help you to score higher bands. Because as you know, connection, if there are connections, they always give you a positive impact. So the first two tips here I would like to say is be calm before and at the time of the examination. And the second tip is impress and connect with the examiner. Try to impress the examiner with your humble attitude and connect with the examiner. Right? Now we move on to the next tip. The next tip and third tip is don't say much unless asked for. Because there are many people we've seen that they keep on speaking, although it is not relevant to the question asked. So speak only that much what is asked. If the question is asked to you about your qualification, give details about your qualification. Don't try to give details about the qualification of your family or your friend or maybe your spouse or your partner, anyone. You are required to give the information about only your qualification, and you should say that much only. And at the same time, just smile and look pleasant, because if you smile, that will give a positive impact on the examiner. Smile and look pleasant, look comfortable, look interested and connected. Again the same thing, that look interested. Just watch the examiner, listen to the examiner attentively, so that he feels that you are interested in what you are telling what the examiner is asking, and you are able to connect with it, and you are just interested in what the examiner is telling, what the examiner exactly wants you to tell. If you understand this, you will definitely score higher bands. And you should not look tired or tense. There are students who come from far off places, because sometimes the examination centers are a little far off from their hometown or from their home, and while traveling they get a little stressed out. Maybe they know that they are getting late. So in that case, just plan your test. When you know your speaking test is to start at this particular time, start from home well ahead, so that even if you get stuck in the traffic, it should not bother yourself. It shouldn't bother your temper. It shouldn't stress you out, and you should be there on time. So if you are late, suppose your examination, when you reach the venue just 5 minutes before the examination, you have certain formalities also, like taking a photograph and giving your ID proof and certain other things, even before entering the examination hall, before entering that examination interview where the examiner will be conducting you. So you have to give certain proof and certain things there and then itself, where they want you to say something. So in that case, you have to be there, and just don't get tired, and look pleasant and smiling face, and have a smiling face which gives you a positive reflection on what you are trying to say. So here I would again like to stress that just smile while entering the venue, while giving your interview, while answering all the questions, and look pleasant, look interested and connected, and not tired or tense. Right? The next tip is answer the question. Just don't refuse to answer. Now, people don't understand what I mean to say by this. Sometimes the examiner asks you such question which you feel that you don't know the answer, but you have to answer. The examiner is asking you something and you have to answer there. Here I have given you this example, that if something you don't know, rather than saying I don't know, I can't answer that question, you should try to say this. That's a tricky question. Let me think about it. Yeah, I guess I would say that. Just take time. Just take time to think. These are certain things. These are certain things which we can use to just impress the examiner. Take time off there, and we can use these tips. We can use these things to talk to the examiner, and these are the things which will help us in scoring higher bands. And also, if in case you don't know the answer, these words, these phrases will help you to just cheat, you can say, just like steal some time out of it, a few seconds, not much time but a few seconds. If you say a phrase like that's a tricky question, and just in a few seconds you understand what the question the person has asked, you can answer that question. Or you can say that let me think about that. Just take a second or 2 seconds and listen to what the examiner is trying to say. Or you can say, yeah, I guess I would say that. You can use that also. And then you can start with your answer. Right? The next step that I want you to discuss with you is don't leave a chance for why. That means when you answer the questions, your questions should be complete with the reasoning. Make it a point to give reasons for your answers. Don't give incomplete answers, prompting the examiner to ask a why for that particular question. Suppose the examiner asks you, like, what's your hobby? You say singing. Just say singing and complete. He will definitely then again ask you why or how. Then you have to answer that answer or question also. So before giving him the chance to ask you why, give the complete answer that singing is my hobby, and although I am not a good singer, I developed this habit or this hobby when I was in the school. When some training was provided to you, I liked singing and I learned only something from the school, although I am not a very good singer. That's all what is required of you to answer in that particular question. And don't give the examiner to ask you a why on that question. Always try to give a complete answer. Then short answers prompt the examiner to ask you again and again. Sorry. As I told you, that if you give a short answer, a one word answer or a one sentence answer, that would definitely again prompt the examiner to ask you a why, how, when, these kind of questions. So because the examiners are there to assess your speaking abilities and they want you to speak more. If you give the short answers, they won't be able to assess you. So speak as much as you can, but to the relevant topic and with the reasoning. Don't give incomplete answers. Don't just give very short answers. Sometimes there are short answers required, but just try to give only those much answers and complete answer to that. Because the key point is that the lesser you speak, the more chances to lose the bands. In this point, lesser doesn't mean that you should speak too much. Speak only relevant but complete answers. Don't speak one or two words. Give complete information, at least 2 sentences for the introduction questions especially. 2 sentences should be there because that would be the complete answer there. Now, what's the next step? Next step here would be don't be afraid to ask examiner questions. What does that mean? That if you don't understand something, you can ask the examiner about those questions. You can ask the examiner what they want to ask. It's not that you should ask such things in every question, but you can also ask them to repeat the question if you didn't quite understand what was said. And you can just say that by saying, I'm sorry, I didn't quite get that. Could you repeat the question? Or you can just say that, could you please repeat the question? Or you can say, pardon, I couldn't understand what you want to say. Or you can just ask him to say, can you repeat the question please? Just be polite and ask him to repeat that question. Suppose if you haven't understood what the examiner wants you to actually say. So don't be afraid and in that kind give a wrong answer. Understand the question. If you don't understand, just ask the examiner to repeat the question so that you can understand it well and give the correct answer to the required question. Don't give a wrong answer to a question. And if the question asks you something else, but you give the answer which is not relevant to that question. So try to be to the point, be specific, but be in a very natural way. Suppose I'm talking to you, you don't understand, you will definitely ask me to repeat what I'm telling. Similarly, you can ask the examiner also, but just make it a point that do not ask him to repeat every question. Only ask him that question which you feel that you haven't understood. There is nothing wrong in that. There is nothing wrong in asking the examiner to repeat the question. Alright? Then the next tip is correct your mistakes. I've written you, correct your mistakes, if any. If you found that you made a mistake somewhere, you can correct it always, and you can move further, because in case you make any mistakes, you can correct it, because the examiner always, here also I missed the word, the examiner always also knows that you have made a mistake, and uh, he can understand that you know what you are trying to say here. Examiner knows what you have, that you have made a mistake, and if you correct it, he will come to know that you know the correct grammar. That means that if you correct your mistake, if you made a mistake in the grammar, and if you correct it by saying the correct grammar, he'll definitely understand that you know that what the correct answer is. That only add to your bands, that will add to your performance. Because if you made the mistake and you don't correct it, although if you know it, and if you don't know it, that is a separate thing, but if you know that you have made the mistake and you don't correct it, that means you are giving a negative impact on the examiner, and that mistake will be considered as an error, and you will get less bands in that. So if you know what you are speaking and you just unintentionally made a mistake, you can always correct it. And when you correct it, when you speak it in a correct manner, the examiner will definitely understand what you are trying to say, and he would know that you know the correct answer. So it will help you in getting higher bands in your IELTS speaking module. Then there are other tips also, like the next one would be, don't copy other accents. Don't try to copy the others, because I've seen there are students who feel that if they try to copy a British accent or an American accent, maybe they'll get higher bands. No, because that will show up. The examiner will come to know that you are copying the accent of that particular place, and you are not basically as good as the British or as good as the American. Maybe you can be, but in case you are not, don't try to copy. Speak in your own accent, as there is nothing wrong in your accent. As if now I'm speaking just in my own natural way. I'm not trying to copy any of the British or the American accents. So try to speak in your natural way, use your own accent, and help to speak in a very natural way. Because if you try to copy some other accent, it's not always that you speak each and every word in that accent, and when you copy, you will make mistakes somewhere, and if you make mistake, that will definitely show up, and it will not help you to fetch more bands. Because I've seen people who say that if they talk something, they use a few words of that accent, one or two words may be okay, but completely speaking the whole sentence in a different accent, and the next sentence in a different accent, that would negatively impact your speaking skills. Don't try to copy the accent of others. Always speak in your own natural accent, in the way you speak. That will help you to get higher band scores in your speaking examination. Right? So always try to be as natural as you can and speak in your own way, speak in whatever the your accent is, how you speak. That is how you can score higher bands. And friends, these were a few tips, but I would like to again repeat those tips. And I would like to again mention here that my name is Navpreet Kaur. I'm an IELTS trainer at an IELTS Institute in Amritsar, and I've been into this line for the last 3 years. Uh, Recently, you can say I joined Unacademy as one of the educators in IELTS, and I enjoy interacting with all of you people and giving you the best possible lessons. My reference code here in Unacademy platform is love_preet71-5476. You can use this reference code to subscribe to the various courses on the platform, and it will help you to get 10% discount. At the same time, it will also give you an access to the various other educators on the platform. Now I'll just again review the tips which I gave you for the scoring higher bands in IELTS speaking module. The first one is be calm before and at the time of the examination. Don't be anxious. Do not feel anxious or uncomfortable during the test. Be natural as much as you can. Just feel at ease. Reply in a natural way. Second point is impress and connect with the examiner. Again, I would like to say that impress doesn't mean that you should try to butter the examiner. Just impress by your behavior, by your polished etiquettes. Keep the passport or the test ID ready with you, because whenever the examiner asks, so that you can give at the same moment. Don't keep on searching in your bag or somewhere in your pocket or somewhere else. Always keep it handy so that when the examiner asks for it, you can immediately give it to them. Then third point is don't say much unless asked for. Only speaks that much which is required and which is relevant. But at the same time, don't speak too less. Speak only the relevant information, but in 1 or 2 sentences, at least in 2 sentences. Not one, at least in 2 or 3 sentences. Keep a positive attitude. Just smile and look pleasant. Look interested and connected, not tired or tense. Just be interested. Keep a pleasant smile on your face. Look interested. Just keep on smiling. In case you make a mistake also, it doesn't make any difference. Just keep on smiling and give a positive attitude of yourself. Then fourth tip is answer the questions, whatever is asked to you. Don't say I don't know, I can't answer that question. Whatever question is there, answer it. Although you can use some of the phrases to steal on some of the moments, like that's a tricky question, or let me think for some time, or give me some time. You can say these things, but you should answer all the questions. Don't say I don't know the answer. Right? That is not a good practice. Then don't leave a chance for the examiner to ask for why. Always give complete answers to your questions. Give a reasoning to the questions. Whatever question is asked to you, give the answer, give a reason for it. Don't prompt the examiner to ask a why or how question, because the short answers will always force the examiner to ask you the next question. He might ask you how, when, where, these type. Try avoid such questions. Give a complete question so that the examiner doesn't get a chance to ask these questions to you, because that would unnecessarily give a negative impact of you, and at the same time it will waste your time, your and the examiner's time also. Complete it as much you can, as easily you can. Then next point is don't be afraid of asking questions to the examiner. In case you don't understand any question, you haven't understood something, don't be afraid of asking the examiner to repeat the question. You can ask very politely. You can ask him to repeat the question in a very polite manner. Don't be afraid. if you made a mistake. Just ask the examiner, made a mistake. In case you haven't understood the question, you can ask the examiner to repeat that question to you, right? Use time smartly to think answers. That is, it is natural for you. Sometimes you need some time to think. Like there are crucial things uh, in which examiner knows you need a few moments. Like you can add those phrases like that. That's a tricky question. Let me think for a moment. Or you can say that's an interesting question. Let me think about it. Or you can say let me think for some time. Or you can also say that it's hard to say for sure, but I guess this is blah blah, whatever the answer would be. Or you can say it's difficult to say, I believe this is what happens. Or you can also take some time off. Like these are the tips where I'm telling that in case you don't know the answer, in that case you can use this time to think your answers, because sometimes we need pauses. If we are telling something to someone, we need certain pauses, but in that case you can use your time using these phrases like it's difficult to say, so that's a tricky question. Or you can say that uh, you oh, it's hard to answer this question. Or you can say that's an interesting question, something like that. Because the important thing is here is to only use this technique when required, when you absolutely have to. Don't use it in every question. And if so, begin every sentence like this. The examiner will think that you have memorized answers. If you start repeating these words for every answer, the examiner will think that you have memorized the answers, and that will give a negative impact of you. So use it wherever it's absolute necessary. Then correct your mistakes in case you have made a mistake, a grammatical error, or by mistake, sometimes it happens. You can correct your mistake. Don't be afraid of correcting your mistakes, because the examiner will definitely come to know that you have made a mistake, and if you correct it, he will also know that you know the correct answer. Don't copy the accent of others. Yes, this is very important. Don't copy the accent of others. Always try to be natural. Speak in your own accent, speak in your own natural way, and try to give answers in a very natural way without copying other people's accent and other accents like American or British. One or two words would be okay, but don't try to complete the don't try to answer the whole sentences using those accents which is not yours. So friends, this was all for today, and stay tuned, stay connected, so that you can get the best of the classes which I am giving on Unacademy. And please don't forget to subscribe to my courses using the reference code which is mentioned on the top of the slide. It is now_Preet71-5476. Use this code and subscribe to the various courses on Unacademy. Thank you. That's all for today. Thank you, friends.